So if you tune into this podcast, just know that this is a newsworthy podcast. I'm going to be doing it from time to time. I'm going to be sharing some information from the current events during the week of certain things that I feel that I want to talk about, and to encourage people to vote, to think, to provoke them to just have a different mindset from staying like a robot. And I hope you enjoy this podcast, and I hope you understand that you're going to get more from me like this. And I really hope you enjoy this information that you're going to get. If you don't know it, or even if you do know it, enjoy this podcast. Thank you. Show. I like to start this episode off a little different. I don't want to have no guests today. I just want to talk about topics. I just want to inform certain people or my listeners, internet, about certain things that's out there, and my personal views on it. And if you have any personal views, you can always email me at churchjohnsonpodcast@gmail.com. So let's start it off with a little black excellence real quick. So shout out to my boy Frank Ocean. Yes, Frank Ocean. Black excellence. Like, I want to thank you for putting out that Visual Endless album, and also Duke and Def Jam, and giving them your last album. That was the last album off of Def Jam, and then your Blonde album, which is amazing. Is independent, and is exclusive through Apple Music. And it's crazy because Def Jam is so tight about it that they like Music Group, because Universal Music Group owns Def Jam, and they're so tight about it, they said no more Apple can get exclusive music from them, or they will no longer allow Apple to have exclusive music from their company. And it's crazy because they're just mad because Frank Ocean did that. I feel like that's one of the reasons why. But shout out to that album. The album is dope. I've been listening to it all week. Wait, today's Kobe Day, right? The 24th, yeah. I'm all over the place. City of Angels declare August 24th Kobe Day. Shout out to Kobe, he's the GOAT in the game. But back to Frank Ocean though. Chill, one of my favorite writers out there right now in the game that's killing it, Leslie Jones. Like, her website was hacked, and new pictures were basically exposed, and her personal info was exposed. And that's corny. They keep bothering her every chance they get. They just leave her alone. Like, she's been under attack from certain people that don't like the way she look, and it's whack because you gotta give it up to her. She paying her dues, up in the game, trying to get where she's at. And now that she's one of the writers for Saturday Night Live, just let her be, man. She earned her spot. She earned her slot. Don't get mad because you're not there. And they did something corny. They hacked into her, like her iCloud and her website was hacked basically. And then they post of pictures of her passport information, driver's license, and private information. Like, who does that? Like, at the end of the day, you're corny for doing that, and that's whack. But shout out to her for being resilient and being strong and not worrying about what people's thinking. Go ahead, Leslie. You got my vote. You got my... every time you out there, you killing them. And they mad that you're killing them. So keep doing what you do. Keep shining. Black excellence. First of all, what's the deal with everybody coming at Nate Parker for the alleged rape charges that he has against him? Past rape allegations he has against him. That's coming back to the light again. Like, that's weird. I feel like they're doing everything in their power to stop his movie from coming out, and it's whack. But at the same time, I feel like it's good that he has some supporters. Like, some people's coming at him on Twitter, some people's not. Al Sharpton, he's still he's backing him up, and Anthony Anderson is still backing him up, and like Anthony Anderson said, it's like he's a great filmmaker. Like, you know what I mean? He's a great actor too, and I do agree with that. And then like people should still like support the birth of the nation, whatever. I understand it's a little rape allegations going on, but at the same time, like, let's not be blinded by the fact that it's always something that always pop up when they don't want something to be shown by a black person. Something always pop up when they don't want something to be shown by African American that has like, you know, a stance or something, and that's going to put out something that's going to shock the waves of history that they don't want the world to know. Like, that's corny. So shout out to Anthony Anderson and Al Sharpton still backing him up, and any other actors out there still back him up. I still back him up. I feel like just let him be, man. Like, let him be. Time heals everything. Yo, it's crazy how so Ohio death row inmate survives execution, begs courts not to try it again. So Ohio Supreme Court declared that the state can try the execution of Broome again. And Broome was sentenced to death back in 1984 after he was convicted for raping and killing a 14-year-old Cleveland girl. He was scheduled to be executed in 2009 via lethal injection. However, he survived the execution because of whatever issues. The executioner could not find a usable vein to develop the injection. It's not funny, but so Broome was strapped to the execution bed for 2 hours while being poked with needles. It's crazy how, like, I don't know, they're gonna try it again, and like, I feel like if you try to kill him once and it didn't work, like, let him go. Like, let him just serve out the rest of his term in jail. Like, I don't know, that's just torture. Picture for 2 hours being poked with needles, like, especially if you're not a dope fiend. Like, a dope fiend will look at it as fun, but if you're not a dope fiend, that's messed up. So it's messed up, the world we live in, but I feel like they're trying to make an example out of him, and we get it. We get it. But it is what it is. So I like to move on to, like, elections. Hillary and Trump. I like to talk a little bit about that and talk about the fact that the civil rights that they're trying to advocate that they're on the side of, and Donald Trump being the opposite on the other side of, and the education factors into their to their speeches and to their elections, into the elections that they're trying to preach about. I want to tap into that, so I want to start off, like, with the civil rights and how the elections it's just trifling, man. It's just trifling how both sides are trying to do something that, for some reason, like, should be morally right. Like, you know what I mean? So, all right. So in elections, you kind of get a gist of what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to put civil rights, or some of the matters of civil rights, on the front stage. We know that civil rights has always been an important election issue, but after recent racially charged killings, I mean, we get it. Police clashes is taking center stage. It has to. Like, somebody has to be to blame for it. Somebody has to be responsible for these killings, from Sterling to Philando Castile. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like they were killed during encounters with police officers. You know, so both killings were caught by witnesses on tape. So, and then went viral. So, at the end of the day, the outrage and the protest that people put out there in the country, it's not fair. Like, it's not fair. The level of police force used is just not fair, especially in United States and in these countries that I mean in these states. I feel like you have this power, don't abuse it. And the people that, like, back in the day that used to police the areas used to be cool, because while they was from the area, they was cool with the area, like, they knew the people. Nowadays we get people from freaking upstate New York, or not even upstate New York, some from some suburban freaking Andy Griffin world, and they come to the Bronx or to Queens or Brooklyn, and they're racially charged with anger and things that they don't know about. So they picking and they becoming bullies over stuff that's not fair. Like, they don't know. Like, they don't know because they don't relate. And if they don't relate, when you don't relate to something and you misunderstand something, you start to lose focus of what your mission is, and then you start to do things that's not right. And that's what they're doing, things that's not right, and somebody has to be accountable for that. I mean, you can see over the like now we have like Black Lives Movement, and for Black Lives Movement they calling for reform, you know, and then you have Blue Lives Movement, which is crazy. They calling for solidarity, and with local police departments, and it's crazy how many are hoping to do both. Like, but these killings and over these recent years, it have shown us, or it has highlighted deeply the vision of the two, and the issue of like race and law enforcement, and it's divided. Race and law enforcement is divided, and it needs to find like a middle ground, and we need to find a solution, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what Black Lives Matter is trying to do. They trying to find a solution, and Blue Lives Matter, they trying to protect the police officers from being damaged or being hit on or whatever, and it's crazy because they're the ones in control. Like, nobody in their right mind is going to officially go out and smack a police officer, you feel me? So at the end of the day, they should be protecting us, but their job is, instead of protecting us, not all now, not all, because I have some boys of mine that are police officers, but not all are bad cops. But the ones that are bad and the ones that are misguided, they should know that they should take extra precaution, extra training, and they should get a psychological test on things that they freaking, from black neighborhoods and urbans. They should do an urban study of how to treat people, African Americans, on the police force. Why? Because they that's where they lack information at. That's where they lack. That's where they're misinformed. And I feel like that's where they should get a better understanding in, because this is the areas that they're policing, urban areas. We're not talking about freaking Williamsburg. We're talking about like different areas in the Bronx or Queens, like, you know, especially around project areas. Like, come on now, if you don't know about that area, you shouldn't try to police that area, because now you're gonna look at everybody and judge and play play judge and play the jury, and that's not really like what you should do. That's not your job. And I mean, you have to understand, like, this, we have to thank God for the Black Lives Movement, right? Because it started in 2003. Not thanks to Trayvon Martin, but thanks to the idiots that found George Zimmerman not guilty. Because thanks to them, that's the reason why we have Black Lives Matter movement, you know? And I mean, you have to understand that the Obama administration trying to handle the situation, trying to do their best, but I feel like they're not doing enough. The Justice Department has opened a civil rights investigation into like police forces all over the country, and found that many of these cases are basically showing a division between racism and abuse of power. So they see in these cases there's a lot of abuse of power going on here, and it's just not right. So something needs to be reformed. So now in the picture we have Hillary Clinton, and she's faced with the reality of the systematic racism in this country, and change laws and systems to make, like, you know, sure, like, minorities are getting the same opportunities as everyone else. But as for like 1984 crime law passed under Bill's own husband watch, there's been more mass imprisonment of black people for nonviolent crimes, and it's sad, and it's really sad. And Donald Trump, his slogan, one of his slogans is "All Lives Matter." So with that motto in this country, it makes us like realize that we have to have a stand, and he's trying to have a stand with law enforcement. But also, every American has the right to live in safety and peace. And also, like, I feel like that will make America safe again. But it's weird how this country is just divided into two. So we have to be mindful, y'all. If you don't know now. Vote. Please vote. Go out there, because we're divided. In order to move forward, we have to seek change, real change, and it's up to us to vote for people that's in the state and in local levels. So we have to go out there and elect these people to push that force forward, because that's what it is. We need that push. We need that push out there, especially when it comes to civil rights and the injustice of different people being locked up for no reason, and especially how they systematically trying to. They have done it over the years of decades, like find ways to lock up more minorities, and to keep us, and then to lock them up. And also, when you lock them up, when they come out, they can't vote, they can't do nothing, get jobs and nothing. So it's basically you keep them in a box where they're going to be led back to go to jail. So it's sad, and we have to do something about it. So we have to be mindful of who we elect into the office, because we have to make sure that the people that we elect into the office they're willing to make changes that's necessary for human rights, changes that's necessary for America to be stronger than we were decades before, during the Ronald Reagan era, during the Bill Clinton era, stuff like that. So we see that, all right, it's crazy. Education, that's another thing that they're trying to push too. But also, if you realize it, when it comes to education, a lot of people go to college, and just to finish college, just to give up half of their check to pay Sally Mae or whatever loans they have. So they're in debt higher than they can get out. So basically, they never get out. And some people don't get out unless they get a job paying big bucks right away, and then it's still a struggle. It's not a right away thing, right? So when you look at early education, you understand that there's private schools, public schools, there's charter schools, voucher programs, there's a bunch of micro schools, there are a bunch of schools out there for kids, right? They have more options, but high school grads have, especially the rates for low income and minority neighborhoods are still very low. Like, it's still way behind wealthy whites and white neighborhoods, and white areas, and that's not good. I mean, the U.S. supposedly spends billions trying to fix this problem, but then they don't want to address that. Thanks to Bill Clinton, he takes money away from the education fund. Or is it Reagan? I don't want to get my facts mixed up. Is Reagan or Bill Clinton? One of them takes money. They took money from early education and to fund more jails. And so they gave more money to jails and lower the money, the funds that they would give to early education, and that's the cause of it. You rather fund jails instead of funding education. When if you fund education and fund these programs to keep them out of trouble and after school programs, you won't get these people either into jail. Don't get me wrong. There are some bad apples out there, but I feel like majority of them is not bad apples. You know what I mean? So I feel like we can stop this from happening, and then we know what to do. It's just that we are so, like, the government and corporate is so like besties. It's so hard to wrap it around their heads that certain things we need to do to get done. It's a solution. It's a real solution that we could fix. So we have constantly people trying to continue to go to school, right? So when you go to school and you graduate, right? You graduate with your degree, and also they should give you a freaking a certificate saying congratulations on your new debt. And some of this debt that we do get from graduating school, it takes decades to pay off. And half of your check when I'm going towards paying off your debt instead of buying a car or buying a house or building a family or starting a business. And I feel like the system is not designed for people to graduate and to build a business. It's designed for you to graduate and for you to pay debt for more than a decade back to these schools that you went to learn information to enhance your ability to stability in life. But it's not helping you to on the right path of you'll be able to be debt free. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you go to school, this is the magical dream that we live in, right? Go to school, finish school, pay no debt. What world is that? We want that world. And on the average, like, the debt right now is like 1.2 trillion in total. Like, so the average, like, what, college student debt is probably what, 29,000 per grad. So you come out of school with all this debt, and then you sometimes people push families back. Sometimes people push their family back because they don't want to build a family into debt. They don't want to have babies while they have debt and they can't do anything. So they don't want to struggle to have a family while they're struggling themselves. And this is the sad part about going to school and getting that debt, and even marriage. Some people put marriage back because of debt. And that's why some people, when like they get out of school, they want to get the highest paying job as possible. And some people is forgetting about their degree and going into tech just because of the fact that they feel like tech is paying way more than their degree is paying. So if somebody has a degree in architecture, but then a IT person would get like 40,000 more than they would get, it sucks. Like, it sucks only because of the simple fact is you work this hard to be in school for all these years just to find out that you're still going to be struggling and you're not going to live as comfortable as you want. and it's not cool at all. It's really not cool. Of course, like going to school is very debatable, but if you want to go by all means. Get your education. Don't be stuck, because what's going to happen is you're going to want to apply for a job, and that job's going to want to see you want to check that box that you're a college grad. And if you're not a college grad, you might not get that position that you want. So now you're stuck between, what are you stuck between? A rock and a dead place. Like, you feel me? You're stuck between those two places. And so Hillary, she's pushing that Common Core. You know, it's right direction, but she needs a little help. And, I mean, we got to make college more affordable. You know, I mean, the fact that you have a chance to pay back these loans in proportions is good, but making it affordable is the way. Like, we need to make it affordable. How much are they making? Like, how much are these people making out here to pay back their loans? Like, we can't just finish school and make like a job that's paying like $60,000 and our debt is $29,000. Like, you know, it's just, this is weird. I mean, Donald Trump, he feels like Common Core is a disaster. And he thinks the education reform needs to be come from at the local level, and I don't know. I think like he also believes that the government shouldn't make money off student loans. So it's a situation where it's basically a mess. The education in the U.S. is a mess, and the two presidents we have, they're trying but mostly failed. They tried and mostly failed to tackle problems. So I feel like we have to push them, and this is the reason why we should elect. We should push them. We should rally. We should push them to make them to think more about these situations that can affect our children's, or even us that's in school. Like, you know, so get out there and vote, man. I want to thank everybody for listening to this podcast. I know you thought it was going to be like super long, but it's not. I just want to drop some information, share a little Black excellence, and encourage people to vote and think mindful of the things that they want to do in life, right? So I want to leave a little words of wisdom. Find your passion, right? But besides finding your passion, I want to also tell you this. You have 24 hours in a day, right? Let's utilize those hours to better ourselves, right? And what I mean by that, so if you're on your way to work and you're on the train, but you have a passion to write or to crochet or to build things or to rap or whatever it is that you have a passion for, utilize that time that you're traveling to work to read a book towards that hobby or that passion that you enjoy, right? Take the time to invest more time into that energy, into that positive light of the thing you really want to do, the thing that you're really passionate about. So stop wasting time and start utilizing your time right towards those goals that you want to meet. So whatever it is that you set for yourself, start acting like it's really important to you. So if you have a to-do list, and your to-do list, you know how you put 5 things on your to-do list, or 3 things on your to-do list, or 10 things on your to-do list, and the 2 hardest things you say for last, no, start putting them first. Start doing the 2 hardest things first. Start giving 80% of your energy to those 2 things. Why? Because you're going to get a greater return back. Stop wasting time and saying, let me push it to the back burner. No, start doing the hardest things on your to-do list now, and I guarantee you the reward of you completing them will feel great. And so start focusing on your goals, start crashing down on them, and stop wasting time. Don't worry about who's doing what's doing what. Focus on you. Read books that pertains to your growth, whether it's self-growth. If you have to read books about your passion of how to write songs, read a book about how to write songs. If it's you want to learn about computer coding or programming, read a book going to work about the coding and computer programming. Like, utilize your time well so you can enhance your ability and be more marketable. Because if you don't really want to work for somebody, you have to be more marketable so you can get those funds while you are working for somebody to create an outlet for you, so your side hustle can be your main hustle. So start focusing on that and start crashing down on it. And this is Church Johnson and Friends, and I thank you for listening to this podcast. Tonight, today,
Just It's just a lack of respect. I don't think